Right, we see all the time on TV pictures and video of Formula One cars covered in weird, brightly coloured paint whilst they're out on the racetrack. We see the commentators talking about this thing called Flow-Viz. Well, what is Flow-Viz? How is it made? What does it do? And how do the Formula One teams interpret the results that they get from it? There's only one way to find out. Let's do an experiment. Right, well, as with any experiment, I am going to need some kind of beautiful assistant. Ginger, my beautiful assistant. Right, I'm going to need some stuff for this experiment. Can you help me get it? Yeah. Right, can you get me, first of all, I'm going to need some stuff to pour the stuff into. So can you get me 2 of the, the big chunky glasses, the clear glasses? Yeah. 2 of those, please.
Okay.
Not sure what the goggles are for. Perfect. That's what we need. I'm also going to need, the coffee cafetiere, the tall clear jug. That'd be a good thing to mix it up with. Can you get me and a measure and a mixing stick? That's good. I know what we need. We need something once it's all mixed up to spray it. You know, Mummy's water sprayer for the plants. Don't tell Mummy I'm using it. Get that. Now we're also going to need, so we don't make a mess, funnel. That's it. Lovely. Thank you. So Flow-Viz is kind of made of, most teams use a paraffin-based mixture in which they mix a powdered paint, normally very brightly coloured so that you can clearly see it. Some teams use a fluorescent paint so that it's only visible under a UV light, ultraviolet paint. I have got some, which a Formula One team has very kindly lent me. This is a powder, and as Ginger was my beautiful assistant today, we've gone for her favourite colour. Pink. Matches your goggles. Look at that. So that's the powder. And that, as I said, is going to be mixed with just simple paraffin. The reason they use paraffin is that it evaporates very quickly, or it dries very quickly. So when you're using this to mix up your paint and you want it to show the lines of the airflow around the side of the car, it's going to dry very quickly, but then at the end, when you're finished with it, it's able to be rubbed away without leaving any residue. So that's the idea. Now, let's have a go at mixing. So, Ginger, can you hold the cup for me there? Let's put some of this in. Maybe just put it all in. Very, very pink paint. I'll do this bit because this is a bit dangerous and nasty stuff. That's about 3 times the amount of paint, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, do you want to mix it for me?
Yeah.
Just hold it, hold it at this end. And just stir that round, lots and lots. Are there any lumps in it, do you think? Can you feel any?
Not really.
Let's have a go. Do you like the colour?
Yeah.
Right, stay right there, don't move. Because we don't want any lumps when we get in there, we're going to put it through a filter. So, very fine filter, 125 microns. In fact, let's not use that one. Let's use that one. The filter. Tell me if it's getting near the top of the glass. Right, that is going to take a little bit of time to drain through. What should we do to pass the time while we wait? Got any good jokes?
I know.
Ah, what's this? Jokes?
Mhm.
Okay.
How does the penguin build his house?
How does a penguin build his house? I don't know.
It glues it together.
Has worked quite nicely, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, because it's still got lots of bits and pieces in it, lots of bits of the powder that are still clogging up the filter, and we want the actual final liquid to be as thin as we can possibly make it so that it follows the contours of the airflow on the car when we spray it on. So I'm actually going to run it through a filter one more time. but I'll fast forward that bit. Right, you hold on to that for me. Let's get rid of that. Pop that in the top of it. That is full of bright pink paint. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make Flow-Viz. We've now got a spray can here, which I can then take out to spray onto a car, drive the car down the road and show where the lines of the airflow follow the contours of the bodywork, which is exactly what a Formula One team does when it's got a new wing on the car or a new part and it wants a very quick visual reference of what the airflow is doing around the car. So next, we just need a car. Thank you. Okay, well this ought to do. It's not a Formula One car, it is of course a road car, and the design philosophy behind road car design is of course very different to that of a Formula One car, where in a road car, in terms of aerodynamics, aesthetics probably come higher than anything else. This thing has to look good so people will buy it. On a Formula One car, aesthetics and the looks of that car definitely play second fiddle to outright aerodynamic performance. But I've got my car. I've got my Flow-Viz or flow visualization paint that we mixed up earlier, so let's give it a go. Formula One car, what tends to happen is the mechanics, the engineers will get the car ready to go out for its first run of the morning, and at the very last moment, as a mechanic, you'll be ready to send your car out, and some little guy from the back of the garage will pop up, an aerodynamicist will pop up and go, hang on guys, we need to put some Flow-Viz on this new wing or this new winglet or cascade element or whatever it might be. And he'll pop up with his rubber gloves on and his little spray can of paint or a little paintbrush and start dabbing paint all over the particular component they want to look at, send the car out, and it will come back with a series of flow lines or a flow structure like this. This is not anything like what you'd see on a Formula One car, of course, but what it shows you is the flow pattern of that airflow across the surface of this car. So the teams will take a photograph the second the car comes back in. The aerodynamicist will take a snapshot of various parts of that particular element, showing the painted lines that now sit on the car. And as soon as they've done that, the mechanics, the engineers will start getting to work to getting rid of all of this evidence. Don't forget, this is evidence that other teams can see as well as your own team. So this is almost a last resort. This is a method that is used to very quickly give a snapshot or a visualization of what the airflow is doing around the car. This is not intended as absolute data. This is intended to back up the data that you have from your wind tunnel or from your CFD systems. Sometimes they'll use it on a new component. Sometimes they'll use it on a wing, for example, that you're intending to use a bigger angle of attack that you've ever used before. For example, a much more extreme application of that aerodynamic component, and they'll use this to see if the wing is stalling, because you can see very, very quickly if the airflow is detaching from the wing. They don't want it detached, but if it shows up, they know they've got work to do, or they know they've pushed that wing element too far. Fortunately, it comes off very easily, but I can promise you, this stuff is the bane of a Formula One mechanic's life, because it gets into these little crevices here, gets into areas of the floor, bits of the brake ducts, and I promise you, you spray this stuff on in Australia, as they all do at the very first race, just checking the components of their brand new cars, you're still finding it when it comes to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Now, I have chosen, quite deliberately, a car that has a rear wing on it. Having said that, I'm not expecting this to be in any way performance enhancing on this car. That rear wing there is all about styling, it's about making it look sporty, but let's see what the flow's like. can see that when you look closely at these lines, I'll try and get a clear image for you, but the lines are not straight, they're not close together. Of course, the top surface is not the most important one, but it still gives you an indication. Underneath, though, I can see exactly the same thing. Not in any way clear, controlled, structured airflow, which is what you'd be looking for. There, you can see there how messy and turbulent that airflow is. The fact that the paint looks like it's almost doubled back on itself at times, that clearly shows that there is no real clear flow pattern, and that the airflow is not attached to the underside of this wing. I mean, if you look at the underside of the rear wing, it's not even of an aerodynamic aerofoil shape, so this is to be expected, but it just gives you an idea of exactly what the paint flow lines can look like when you use this stuff. So when you do this on a Formula One car, you will get a very clear idea of what the airflow is doing around those key components of your car. You can use it as a very quick reference. You can take it back to the guys back in the wind tunnel to show them what the real world car looks like compared to their model in the wind tunnel, or to the CFD guys. And it just gives them a really nice way of referencing or confirming, or perhaps having the opposite effect, for that data that you've been so reliant on for so long. And particularly when you bring a new component to a racetrack, it's a very easy and very quick way of just checking that that thing is doing what you expect it to do. Right, better get it cleaned off.